Good evening. Okay, good. Thank you for bearing with us. This will be a little awkward having this tonight, so please tell me if I'm not speaking into the microphone, and we will pass it to and fro down the line here. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hello? Okay. We'll proceed with the roll call.
Here.
Here. Here. Thank you. A quorum being present, we'll proceed with our business. Before we move on with our regular business, we do have a special item tonight, and that is recognitions and awards. And for that, we invite Mayor Simpson, Fire Captain Matt Sinopoli, Officer Midgarden, and the parents of Alyssa Forster to the front of the room, please. If you could please go to the center, that way the camera can see you as well. So tonight we want to express our appreciation to our first responders before us. I'll be reading a proclamation. Each will receive a copy as well as a commendation medal in the near term. Okay. So whereas on Sunday, May 25th, 2025 at 12:47 p.m., the Cumberland County Department of Public Safety Communications Center dispatched a multi-unit structure fire at 239 South 17th Street, Camp Hill. The dispatch was sent out to the Camp Hill Fire and Police Departments. The location of the fire was a 6-apartment unit residence. Initial responding units arrived on the scene at approximately 12:52 p.m. These initial responders included Fire Chief Mark Simpson, Firefighter Alyssa Forster, Fire Captain Matt Sinopoli, and Police Officer Emma Midgarden. Fire department members were deploying hoses and apparatus at this time. And whereas, immediately after arrival and exiting his vehicle, Fire Chief Simpson was hailed by a citizen bystander who was a resident of one of the apartments at 239 South 17th Street. This Hello. The bystander informed Chief that there was a disabled resident still inside apartment unit number 1. Chief Simpson immediately went to apartment unit number 1 and met Firefighter Forster at the front door. And whereas Chief Simpson, who had not yet had time to put on his turnout gear, and Firefighter Forster, who was finishing putting on her breathing mask and helmet, opened the door to unit number 1 to visually inspect the scene. They saw that the room was filled with smoke with zero visibility. And whereas Fire Captain Sinopoli and Police Officer Midgarden then arrived at the apartment unit, Firefighter Forster and Chief Simpson crawled into the apartment unit through thick smoke. They located the apartment resident near the door, and with the assistance of Captain Sinopoli, dragged the unconscious man out of the apartment to the porch and began first aid. Officer Midgarden ran back to her patrol vehicle and retrieved the vehicles assigned to AED, quickly returning to the porch and the unconscious resident. The team administered first aid to the victim until EMS arrived and transported the victim to the hospital. And whereas the rapid and selfless actions of these individuals, Fire Chief Mark Simpson, Firefighter Alyssa Forster, Fire Department Captain Matt Sinopoli, and Police Officer Emma Midgarden contributed to the successful rescue of this resident. Due to the thick and suffocating smoke in the apartment, the resident might not have survived without the efforts of these first responders. And whereas the prompt and alert responses of these individuals warrant that they should receive special acknowledgement for the outstanding performance of their duties. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Borough Council of the Borough of Camp Hill hereby commends Fire Chief Mark Simpson, Firefighter Alyssa Forrester, Fire Captain Matt Sinopoli, and Police Officer Emma Midgarden for their heroic actions. And be it recognized that these individuals are hereby honored with the Borough of Camp Hill Life Saving Award. Okay. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to our first period of public comment. Please take note of the public guidance on the back of the agenda. Please note your name and address, and please keep your minutes to 3 minutes. And with that, I invite the first public commenter.
Hello? Okay. This is my first time, so my name is Dr. Genevieve Regal, and I live on 747 Country Club Road. We've lived here for 15 years, and I want to start off by recognizing the council and everyone here for your civil service. We love living in Camp Hill. We love the community. I mean, the borough is known for the safety, the families, just the great environment, and that's why the houses, everybody wants to buy houses and be in our neighborhood. So I take a lot of pride, and I want to express how much we love this community, and that's why I'm here. There have been a number of thefts in the area, as you guys know, and I've come before you because on social media I have just seen so many people posting and sharing that they've been not only hit once but twice, and it's continued. Our house was actually hit on May 16th. As I know it, there were actually 2 other people that have been hit on Monday still, so it's every single week. And I've been tracking the data, and it seems like after every rain, there are robberies. So Benton Road and Circle Road were just on Monday, like I said. But as you can see, I put together some screenshots and evidence of pictures of these individuals. They appear to be 2 light-skinned or Caucasian males. It looks like around between their 30s and their 40s. They typically wear black ski masks, as you know, and all black. We've actually identified the same clothing, the ripped jeans, and they usually come and hit between 12 o'clock and 3:30 a.m. So our house, both cars were looked through, and we have a child. So it was really terrifying to us to know that there are these types of felons, criminals, lurking in our backyards. When I use the word felon, it's because, at the WGAL News article cited that guns and firearms have been stolen, which, in Pennsylvania, that's a federal crime. So, they are felons lurking around our neighborhood. My concern is that the police force, I looked up the 2025 budget, general fund, and I noted that $1.97 million was allocated to public safety, which included $1.3 million in salaries of the officers. And one of the things that I came to talk about is how do we get the police force additional resources in order to keep our communities safe? We know that these robberies have occurred in a very tight neighborhood, certain streets, and from what I know, there's 1 officer that patrols at night. And I was also looking through the 2025 adopted budget, and I noted there was about $797,000, so about $800,000 that's been allocated to the fringe benefits under general distribution. And one of the things I'd like to propose is if the police force need additional funding to keep our streets safe, is there the possibility to reallocate that $800,000 from the fringe fund to paying private, additional officers to come at night? And in my opinion, I have to say, I think that 3 officers on bikes patrolling would catch these guys within a very short period of time, because we know their patterns, we know their personas, their profiles, we have evidence. So, I don't really know how this works, if I'm able to ask questions and get responses, or I just make a statement. But like I said, under general distributions fringe fund, it's about $800,000. I'd like to hear feedback from the council. I know there's a number of people here that are very concerned about the repeat crime and how it hasn't been prevented or action hasn't been taken.
Thank you, Dr. Regal. Public comment is not the time for question and answer.
Okay.
Unfortunately, if you want to email us with specific questions, we can respond
Okay.
to those. Additionally, it's up to the chair of the Public Safety Committee at his discretion to undertake this issue at the committee level. Members of the public are welcome to attend that meeting as well.
So no action will be taken right now, is that right? Or
There is no action item on the agenda. Due to sunshine laws, we are unable and prohibited from taking action items. And 24 hours, it has to be on the agenda.
okay. So we can't address the crime wave that's been occurring in our community
The mayor
until it's
will be
on
offering a report.
Sorry,
the-
go ahead. I don't want to interrupt
The mayor
you.
will be offering a report as part of his remarks this evening. Can you put the mic up? The mayor will be offering a report, remarks as part of his mayor's report this evening.
Okay. Well, I guess if it's not on the agenda, it can't be really addressed. So we'll look forward to that. And thank you again for your service and your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are other public commenters, again, please state your name and address, and please do keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Paul Lewis. I live at 515 Country Club Road. First of all, I come from a family that has several people in law enforcement, an uncle that was an assistant warden at a state prison. So I have nothing but respect for what our law enforcement and first responders do. Being in the neighborhood, what I'm concerned about is over the last several years, we've seen things like garbage contracts renegotiated with reduced services for residents and higher fees. We've seen potholes go unattended. We've seen sign ordinances that have been defended, and lots of insurance money and taxpayer money spent on defending those lawsuits. Now we actually have an actual threat to the community that is very concerning, okay? We have people that have taken a lot of time, which I didn't hear anybody reference or seem to give a darn about the amount of work that went into a resident doing this out of their own pocket. One of my concerns is we have a neighborhood that sometimes seems to be the forgotten part of Camp Hill because we live on the other side of the road, okay? We're told when people drive 100 miles an hour down Country Club Road that we can't do anything about it because half of the road is East Penn, so it's not our responsibility, okay? We read articles that says when your property is broken into, that once you call us after it happens, there's not much we can do about it, so lock your cars, okay? So I guess that should be interpreted, if you go down Market Street and loot all the stores and you don't get caught and get away with it, then we should just tell those store owners, maybe you should lock your doors better, and there's not much we can do about it after it happens. So one of my primary concerns is this escalates in our neighborhood, okay, with lots of elderly people and also people that have a lot of small children, okay, and there's a lot of heavily armed people in our neighborhood, okay? Now, that male that's doing that, dressed in a ski mask, okay? This isn't kids wearing polo shirts and Sperry topsiders running through and door knocking at 3 o'clock in the morning. These are people coming through at 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, taking fuses out of people's fuse box in their cars, tugging on their doors. So I guess my question, which I know we can't ask questions and expect a response, what I'm concerned about is, what would the response be, understanding it's not on the agenda because of sunshine laws, okay? If somebody tugged on the wrong door and got a shotgun blast coming out of them from that door, then there'd be a major upheaval, like what a tragedy in the community. So what I'm interested in hearing, when the appropriate time is, hopefully before something bad happens, is an action plan, okay? The borough has been great about action plans for riparian barriers, climate action, all kinds of other things that may be important to some, okay? But don't do anything to allow elderly people or families with small children or people that live alone, which I know there are some in this room, okay, on safety. That is your primary responsibility to the residents of Camp Hill, is the safety, not revenue, not taxing, okay, is safety. Because it affects property values, it affects everything in this community. So in closing, I am actually, and many of us here I think would agree, are looking for a comprehensive action plan, okay, on what's happening. And if you don't have the manpower or whatever, just like we're seeing in other places in the country, perhaps consider calling in the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department or working out a mutual aid proposition with Lemoyne or with Lower Allen or somebody like that. Because this is getting out of hand, and I can tell you, if somebody comes and my dogs bark and you try and climb in my window at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's not going to be a good outcome for you. So, with all due respect, and again, nobody loves law. Anybody that knows me knows how I feel about law enforcement and our military. Okay? Nobody has more respect for our first responders. Okay? But in closing, we're not looking for things that you can pull out of Robert's Rule of Orders while we kick the can down the road. We're looking for concrete actions. Thank you.
Good job, Paul.
Again,
Hey.
please just be mindful of the 3-minute limit, please.
Yep, yeah, I got mine pretty much planned out. So, hi, Reed Nixon, 2811 Fairview Road. I'm here to talk about the lack of maintenance down at the park, but there's a couple comments on it too. Here's show and tell for how much maintenance is not being done down there. So I do have a couple prepared statements here. When municipal workers turn off comments on online posts, it signals an intent to censor, control the narrative, and manage public interaction. Limits online public discourse that's critical to transparency and trust. Government workers should serve the public by encouraging open dialogue, not restricting it. Disabling comments may streamline communications, but it alienates residents and stifles community input. It turns off the critical signals to the servants of the people. You guys should open up the comments. Camp Hill Borough is required to maintain the riparian buffer along Connedo-Gwinnett Creek as stated in the operations and maintenance plan, as well as the November 1st, 22 Borough Council meeting, and I quote, mowed in and amongst the trees twice during the growing season as the O&P plan. These are minimal and basic maintenance standards. We have court precedent in a case called Penzino versus Tomawissing County in 2017, where municipalities are liable for their agents' inactions. This Borough Council, the Public Works Department, but especially our Borough Manager, yes, meaning you all can be personally liable and responsible for damages done for lack of maintenance. It's not just the parks and streams, but awful roads and other maintenance. No one cares for our parks and communities would ever let them look like this. We need to find new borough management, hopefully one that lives within our Borough Council, and cut the grass down there. And I am calling on an action plan for the next meeting for you guys to put in a plan to have our manager be a resident of the Borough of Camp Hill that represents us here in Borough of Camp Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Next, we'll go with the gentleman in the glasses. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir, in the front row. Go ahead.
Daniel Urban of Creek Road, Camp Hill. I wanted to discuss the riparian buffer also. Apparently you guys don't care about my family, my grandkids, or I with letting the grass on both sides of my property get so high. I talked to the borough manager about it. She said she had talked to them and get it straightened out. I talked to Lester. He said he'd talked to them. I'm wondering, who is them? Is it any of you, or is it some other association that controls you guys? I mean, why can't you cut the grass like you promised? I was going to pull a weed, but I was afraid that you'd charge me with a felony. And I know you can't answer because you won't. But is there a reason that you can think of? No, okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe Whitmer, and I live at 835 Wynwood Road on Country Club Hills. I've resided here over 30 years. I lived at 213 South 19th Street and at 211 South 19th Street before that. I purchased a house here over 30 years ago because of the value of the public school system and frankly, the feeling of safety. Those are the two factors that attracted me, and I suspect it continues to attract people who are purchasing residential housing here for the school district and the public safety. The recent incidents that we saw on Facebook involving the creatures of the night look like it's an issue of public safety and a feeling of feeling safe enough that women walk by themselves in the daytime with their dogs. And I think that those things are at risk. I don't have an answer. I am concerned that we are hearing that there aren't enough resources to patrol the areas in order to at least address the feeling of safety that's at issue here with these creatures of the night. I think that I've been at 3 public meetings in 30 years, once for the zoning ordinance, once for the issues of the Christmas lights, and tonight. I don't spend a lot of time on this, but I am concerned about the public safety. It's shocking to me, frankly, that this has become an issue like this. I wasn't even aware of it till the Facebook thing came up. So I also find it questionable about claims that we don't have resources when 1.3 million are being allocated to staffing. I think it's a staffing allocation issue. It's not something that I'm going to sit here and tell you how to do. It's not something I'm going to sit here and tell you the police chief needs to do X, Y, or Z, or A, B, and C. I just think that there's a public safety issue here, and perception is reality. To the extent that the word gets out that you can't live in Country Club Hills because creatures of the night are marauding, that affects the value of people wanting to live there, purchase there, or continue to live there. People with resources and options will move, and that affects our tax base, and it affects our public school system, the two things that really make this borough most attractive. So I urge you to please take this comment seriously and try to come up with an action plan, even if it consists of getting additional time for the officers at an unpredictable time between 11 and 7 when the creatures are out to just drive through and check out the streets. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmer. Next, please.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I just wrote something because it's really on my heart.
Just please state your name and address, please.
Joyce Larson, I live at Susquehanna View Apartments, seniors. But anyway, let me just read what I wrote. I'm a resident of Camp Hill, and I'm a Marine Corps veteran who served during the Vietnam War. First, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of Veterans for Memorial Day ceremonies at the cemetery. I only wish that there would be more people interested in attending, including children. I was especially impressed with the high school seniors address that won the essay. I thanked her for telling the truth. I don't hear that very often. I also want to thank you for supporting Wounded Warriors that is helping so many veterans. I am part of a ministry, though, that helps veterans with invisible handicaps and wounds. That's called PTSD. Many take their lives each day in this country. Many take their life. I personally know what it was like living in each day with it. I watched the ceremony speaker, an Iraqi veteran, as he paused at times. I'm sure it brought back horrific memories that can come being involved in combat. As I read the article about him in the Camp Hill newsletter, I saw that he enjoyed nature, as I do also. I also enjoy God's creation, especially when I need a break from what I'm experiencing. It is essential for my well-being and everybody's well-being. The stream that was in the back of the Camp Hill Park and was close by was my place to go, was. In the past, I met others there, including 3 young boys doing a project for school. They were delightful. I hadn't been there for a while, but I decided I needed to go. When I went down the hill to where the stream used to be, I found out what happened. I wanted to cry, I wanted to scream, I didn't know what to do. For the refuge I and others went to was destroyed. In its place was as a man who was there said, "This is not natural." No, it was all man done. I then read the signs placed at the beginning and the end of the trail. The first one gave information about the benefit of trees. I agree. However, what was done goes against what it said. It does. The sign at the end gave information on the amount of money this so-called Friends of the Conagwinic had to complete their plans, a total of $17 million. Not just around here, but other places. I was told it's not from the new taxpayers, thank goodness, but I don't know where it came from. At this time, I don't know anymore. I don't know any more information. I no longer care what happened. It happened. It's gone, never to return. I only pray that the little children who are walking there don't get injured because of the paved path that is now there. I didn't hear the bikes coming up behind me. I used to on the old gravel road path. I will end by saying, I forgive you. I do. Not for you, for myself, for whatever part you had in this. Or if you didn't, I don't know. It's up to you. It's in here, in your heart. So I do this so I can get through the sorrow of losing the place of God's creation. Not many, for those who need it, possibly for centuries. So I thank you for listening. I have a pamphlet here that's right down there. It's from the benefits of the trees, and in it, oops, if anybody wants to, this group called Out of the Trenches, it says trees require an investment. The cost associated with large tree removal and replanting with smaller trees can be significant. Yeah, there was my friend who I showed this place to, went there, was there when the 18-wheeler came in and pulled out every tree along the creek, especially the one I used to sit on and others used to be around. In addition, the economic and environmental benefits produced by a young replacement tree, which there are many there, boom, 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 just like that's a man's way of doing things, are minimal compared to those of a mature specimen. I can't go back there anymore. I can't. So everybody knows what trees can do. And I'm heartbroken.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Pardon?
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you too.
Is there-
Do you know any veterans, or PTSD or whatever? This is an incredible organization, Christian organization, run by veterans. They
Thank
know
you.
the military language.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm not used to doing this, but I'll do my best. My name is Charlie Dunn. I live on the corner of 19th and Lenox Street in Camp Hill. I'm concerned about the children going to school. How many of you kids have kids? Ever you have kids? You have kids in grade school and stuff? These people, first off, I went to the police station a year ago. I talked to an officer. I see people come off that belt, off the bypass, don't even slow down at that stop sign. Shoot right through. These kids come up here now, they have scooters. They come down up 19th Street. Lenox Street is blocked off so the kids can walk to school on both sides. They have put barriers to slow people down. These people are coming off the bypass, flying through those stop signs, not even slowing down. I went to a police officer, I don't know his name, a year ago, and I asked him to please patrol that. I said, if you sit there, you'll get enough money to buy another police car. Because you're going to get people every day coming through that stop sign, every day, and they don't even slow down. I mean, you should change Camp Hill, instead of Camp Hill, make the stop sign city, because there's stop signs everywhere, and people don't pay attention to them. And what I'm afraid of is some young kid is going to come up down here on 19th Street, and somebody's going to come off the bypass and hit this kid and kill or injure a kid. And when I told the police officer this, I did not see one police car up there sitting along the road or anything. How many police cars do we have in the borough? Sir, how many do we have? 4. I see 6 of them sitting down here. I drive by there, there's 6 police cars sitting in the lot. Put one up there, park it up there. Put a mannequin in there. I'll pay for the mannequin. Stop these people from flying off that bypass and going through that stop sign. Someone is going to be hurt, and it's going to be a young kid. That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Next. Anyone else? Go ahead, sir.
Hello, my name's Robert Kimmel. I live on Dartmouth Street. I'm not well versed as the rest of these people, but 30-some years ago, my wife Kathy and I bought a place on Dartmouth Street. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but we finally got it together. What a beautiful town. Not anymore. And it's a shame. I'm a retired veteran, served in Vietnam. I am pleased with most of the policemen. The one police officer came out, the young lady, I forget her name, I think she was here tonight. She came out at 3 o'clock in the morning after I reported a gentleman trying to get into my car, or should I say a thief. I went out after him. I shouldn't have, but I did. And I yelled at him, woke the neighbors up. And the police officer was generous enough to come out and walk the neighborhood. On my second thought, I should have walked with her, but I was so frustrated what I would have done. I'll soon be 76 years old. My wife passed away of pancreatic cancer. That was her home, her safety zone, my safety zone. Not anymore. They said that this has been going on for over a year. It sure has. 5 to 6 years. My neighbor got a gun robbed out of his truck on Dartmouth Street. There was a car broken into down at the library that has never been mentioned. The only thing I can say is, think out of the box, just a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to run after him with a 9mm, but God bless him if he comes in my house. The thing is, if it was an officer and they were breaking into your car and you went out with a loaded gun, I know I can't ask a question, but possibly he could shoot. I run out with a loaded gun, I get thrown in jail, and the guy gets my stuff out of my truck, he's gone. What do I do? What alternatives do I have? I just wish, like I said, you'd think out of the box. Put a car out there with some merchandise in it. Put a tracker in it. Track them. Think out of the box a little bit. You know, I'm old, but I'm not stupid. I appreciate all you do or tried to do. I wanted to speak to an officer a couple of years ago, and he hasn't got back to me since. But I'm going to rectify that. Anyhow, thank you very much for your time and for what you do. Just please, help us out. That's my home. For God's sake, it's my home. I work very hard for what I have. It's not a multi-million-dollar home. It's a one-bedroom house that my wife adored, and I adored it with her. Too bad she passed away, and I'm glad, in a way, she's where she's at now because she don't have to see this crap. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimmel. Are there any others wishing to offer? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Trisha Melnichek, 506 Benton Road. So I also live in Country Club Hills, and we're also wondering at night if someone with a stolen gun's walking our neighborhood. People have had cash, laptops, firearms stolen from cars over the last year, and yet when I go to the elementary school, there's 2 to 3 officers pulling over moms at the elementary school drop-off. I didn't know about people coming off the bypass, which really concerns me, but to see moms pulled over in the drop-off line past the gates, I really think that we could reassess where we're putting our money, because those resources really need to be there when it actually matters. So I'm asking you all to stop telling us to lock our doors and start taking real action to protect our families. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else? Go ahead, Mitzi.
Hi, I wasn't going to say anything, but I will. My name is Mitzi Jones, and I live at 2023 Yale Avenue. I used to live in Country Club Hills, but first of all, I just want to tell you, I turned on my hearing aid with the looping here. You really ought to remind people of that, because it wasn't really coming through bad. But anyway, I digress. I'm here because I'm really worried about this crime stuff, because it's been going on for a while. And I was telling my neighbor about the Country Club Hills, and he goes, oh yeah, ours was broken into, I'm on Yale. I'm like, what? He goes, I should have told you, and he didn't, but mine's locked in the garage, so I feel okay. But I live by myself, and I'm just concerned they're gonna hit all the cars, and then they're gonna start knocking on doors, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And my 22-month-old granddaughter's on Country Club Road. I just worry about all this, and I know you guys do too, and I know you can't respond, but please know that it's as serious for people around here. It's just going to escalate. I understand that even since the Harrisburg Mall just closed, you know, it's flattened, that they're having a lot more criminal activity at the Capital City Mall, and they're confiscating guns and knives there every day, and it's just getting worse. And you know, it's been going on, so it's, you know, it's, once again, please, you guys do a great job, but please, please, please help us know that we're gonna be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis Page, North 27th. I'd like to thank her for that wonderful presentation in the beginning, and it's been upsetting me sitting there that the 24-hour sunshine, this and that, this has been going on for over a year. For the first post we had about this was 7 days ago. So did the 24 hours sneak up on us? So I'm wondering who's in charge of this and who I'll have to run against in order to make sure that this is not the way this goes in the future. It's been over a year. So I'm just saying, it's not a question, it's a declaration. I'm gonna find out who I have to run against in order to make sure that this is not how this is handled from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Are there any others who wish to offer public comment at this time?
When should we expect some kind of a response instead of just saying thank you, move on to the next item agenda?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, nothing personal, man. Nobody cares about the trash fees or somebody's flowers.
Mr. Lewis, this is really not appropriate at this time. We
want answers.
We're moving on with the agenda. Mayor, would you please offer your report, please?
Every meeting, answers, no answers.
No faith in government.
Ms. Lewis, hang on one second. I want to say something.
Oh, yes, sir.
I mean, folks, first off, thanks for being here tonight. The police chief and I are going to meet. We've met numerous times over the last few weeks. We're going to meet, and we're going to, we want to have a meeting with all of you after we come up with your action or an action plan of how we're going to address this. I hope that's okay with council.
We will send out a notice of when that meeting is going to be in the next week or so. We'll get together, we'll talk, and we'll have some additional information available, and we'll discuss the whole thing with you, if that's acceptable.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
We're all just wondering what happened to this beautiful little town. That's all.
I got you.
We want safety. Want safety.
Am I going to read this? All right. I do have something to read here to you. I want to begin by saying how grateful I am for your continued commitment to the safety and well-being of our community. It's the shared sense of responsibility that makes our town strong, connected, and resilient. Recently, however, I'm going to state the obvious here, we've seen a concerning uptick in thefts from vehicles throughout our neighborhoods and in many other West Shore communities. I want you to know that the Camp Hill Police Department and I take this very seriously. Let me be clear, no one should feel unsafe. This is not just about stolen property, it's about peace of mind, trust, and the right to feel secure in your daily life. Our police department is actively investigating these incidents and taking other measures to catch these criminals. They're working around the clock to identify suspects and prevent further crimes. But law enforcement can't do this alone. Crime prevention is a partnership between the Camp Hill Police Department and our residents and businesses. Here are a few simple but powerful steps we can all take. And I know you don't want to hear lock your car, but please lock your cars. Let's take away the incentive for these criminals to come back to our town night after night. Every incident that we've investigated or that's been reported, it's been from an unlocked car, and people are leaving valuables in the cars. Never leave valuables in your cars, especially keys, electronics, wallets, or bags. Report any suspicious activity immediately, not a week later, but when you discover it, report it immediately. Even a small detail could help solve a bigger case. You may call the non-emergency phone number to the police department, which is 717-737-1570, or call 911. Do not approach or attempt to contact these individual criminals. And if you have a doorbell camera or security camera, please consider registering it with the police department. It's a great way to strengthen our surveillance network. Obviously, people have Ring cameras. And Genevieve, thank you. You put that together? Yeah, thank you. I couldn't have done that. Let's stand together as a community. Let's show that crime has no place in Camp Hill and that we watch out for one another. If you've been affected, please know that you are not alone. We're here for you, and we're taking real steps to make things better. Thank you again for your time, your vigilance, your care for our shared home. We will get through this, and we will come out stronger. Thank you.
Okay, moving on then to our next item. We went a little bit out of order and proceeded to the mayor's report. Mayor, will you have any additional comments then? No, okay. So that brings us to President's announcements, and tonight we will consider the separation of Tricia Mensch as previously discussed in executive session. So with that, is there a motion and a second to consider the separation effective May 15th, 2025, and approve a settlement agreement with Mrs. Mensch? Emily moves and Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion to affirm the separation effective May 15th, 2025 of Tricia Mensch and the settlement agreement is approved unanimously. That brings us to our next item then, the manager's report.
Thank you. And I am really sorry that the microphones aren't working. They literally say they're on, but I wanted to introduce Natalie Blackman to you. She is our new finance director, and we're delighted to have her. Natalie is a wonderful addition to our team. She has an excellent background in government finance, having worked most recently as chief of staff in Swatara Township. She even worked for a short time here at the borough office at the beginning of her career, so we're very glad to have her. I attended several meetings, Cumberland County-wide meetings. The Clean Water Cumberland Partnership meeting was held on May 29th, where we held a group discussion and then small breakout groups to prioritize efforts to improve water quality and meet state requirements. At a county planning department outreach meeting on June 3rd, a summary of a return on environment report was provided. The return on environment report was completed by the county and Audubon, Pennsylvania in 2015, and the intent is to put a monetary value on our open space ecosystems and natural resources. The report will be updated in 2025. Our Bee City Committee hosted a garden tour on June the 1st, which was attended by almost 200 visitors. They did have people checking in, so they got a count of how many people. 11 residents shared their private gardens, along with the Girl Scout Pollinator Garden and the Pollinator Garden at Borough Hall. The Bee City Committee assembled a raffle basket and a tour booklet that enhanced participants' experiences and helped track the number of attendees. On June the 2nd, I represented the borough at the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs Conference. I attended a legislative update, educational sessions, and the Legal Jeopardy game presented by Salzman Hughes. I also wanted to remind everyone that Stormfest is coming up on July the 23rd. We have lots of opportunities for volunteering. If you have time to volunteer, everyone's welcome. If you don't have time to volunteer, hopefully you'll have time to come out and attend the event with us. It's a very fun time for everyone. And that's all I have. I'm sorry again about the microphones.
Thank you. Short report this month. I really only have one item to report on and one action requested. This is for the 2025 curb ramp improvements project. We opened bids for the project in May and got a very good bid from our low bidder, who is Buildermen is the name of the contractor. Their bid is in the amount of $68,156.70. The project encompasses 12 curb ramps at 3 different intersections, so four corners per intersection. These are all kind of in the vicinity of the library. It's High Street and 19th Street, Walnut and 19th Street, and Walnut and 17th Street. Some of those were bid alternates. We weren't sure if we would have enough money from our DCED grant to cover it, but because of the very low bid, we do. So we're recommending award in that full amount for the base bid and all alternates. Again, that would be an award of $68,156.70 to Buildermen for the 2025 curb ramp project. That's my report.
Thank you, Mike. That brings us to our consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to consider the consent agenda as presented? Mercedes moves. Michelle seconds. Consent, all in favor? I don't really think we need to do that, but okay. Consent agenda is approved. That brings us to our reports of committees and liaisons, beginning with public safety.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at him to start calendar.
Thank you. We held our meeting on May the 22nd, and up for consideration this evening is the consideration of the renewal of a 3-year agreement with the Camp Hill School District for the provision of a school resource officer for the term of 2025 to 2028. Additionally, in terms of old business, Country Club Hills continues to take a place on the agenda. HRG conducted a speed study at 2 locations. It was determined that the speeds that were recorded met PennDOT's criteria for speed calming measures.
and they came with a recommendation in terms of the placement of 5-watt speed humps along that corridor. In terms of next steps, the boroughs will be discussing that opportunity with East Pennsboro on their side of the road to determine how we would anticipate the potential of those speed hump placements. In addition, fog lines will be installed with a date to be determined. The other item that was discussed was in terms of the intersection of East Trindle and Cumberland Boulevard. There was a concern that there was some delay in the traffic signals causing some backups. That's also being investigated, and more information will be forthcoming at the next committee meeting. That's my report.
I just want to clarify regarding the new MOU, right? Is that the same? That is the same as the prior agreement, or were there substantive changes?
The only thing they changed was a request for more reporting of hours and specific dates, and so that's included in the agreement now.
Thank you. And talking about public safety, I just wanted to ask a few questions regarding our police budget. So, Chief, okay. As I understand, the percent of our budget, our general fund budget dedicated to our police public safety is about 30%. Is that accurate? Yes. Okay. It's the largest single general fund expenditure. Also, is it correct or incorrect to say that that is mostly on par with the level of expenditures spent in other local municipalities? Or not expenditure spent, but the share of the budget?
Yeah, I would say so. We are generally the single largest general fund budget item in almost any municipality. And to carry that, maybe this, you have another question?
I do.
The question of fringe benefits.
Yes, please clarify what that is.
Automatic. If you
And fringe.
spending this much on personnel, this X percentage, usually dictated by what department.
And by fringe benefits, is that referring to health and life benefits, et cetera, for all of the staff, including police?
Yes.
So.
Pension, health insurance, yeah, all of those.
Okay. All police, fringe benefits is for all police? Oh, okay. So to dispel the characterization that fringe benefits are fringe, is... They're not very optional. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Also, has the police public safety budget increased year over year in your experience? Yes. Yes. And what is, of the public safety budget that we provide for, how much of that, what percentage of that is dedicated to personnel costs?
It's probably between 85 and 90%.
How does that compare with local municipalities?
That's comparable. It might be slightly higher than some, but it is almost totally personnel.
Okay. And is it fair to say that Camp Hill Borough is not immune to the vehicle thefts that are occurring?
That is very accurate to say, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate those of you who are still in attendance. I know it can be frustrating. When you leave, we may have opportunity to share additional information. So please tell your neighbors that if they do come, I understand it can be frustrating, and public comment is not the opportunity or the time to engage in back and forth discourse, because there are many people who wish to offer public comment, and we do offer 3 periods of public comment. So again, thank you. I do sympathize as a Campbell Borough resident for probably 15 years now, or at least. I myself have had my car broken into 3 times. Of those 3 times, my car was unlocked. I know it's frustrating, but I agree also with the mayor that we can all do our part to make it harder for, we do offer another period of public comment, sir, and then if you do say something to which we can respond, we'll address that later if possible. So, again, thank you for those who stuck around. Thank you to the chief. Also, for those of you who are curious, the police department does provide monthly reports on its webpage. Those monthly reports are also included in our monthly packets. Is it correct, Chief, that the correct item to look at is thefts from vehicles on those monthly reports?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
If I could just point out some of the numbers that we have shared publicly recently, they don't quite, a handful of them don't meet the threshold of theft from a vehicle.
Okay.
But we are reporting, even when vehicles are just entered and rummaged through and nothing is taken, it's still, it's only because the thief didn't think there was anything worthwhile to take.
And I suppose it's fair to say that the number of incidences only reflects those that are reported.
Yes.
Correct. However, if you do go back and look at the reports, you can see the numbers that have been reported. So in January 2025, there were 13. In March of 2025, there were 7. In April, there were 5. In May, there were 9. You can compare that to the prior year. To my question earlier, when you compare our number of incidences to other neighboring municipalities, they are about, I think, the same-ish. Is that fair?
And we have all, not just Campbell, but our neighbors have also experienced a recent surge in this type of activity.
And I appreciate the reminders, not only from our police department. If you also do a social media search, you can find other local police departments also urging their residents to lock their vehicles. Okay, it can be an opportunity crime, I think. I think we live in a beautiful, wonderful community. And again, despite the frustrations that we're all experiencing, because I think we all want to be able to put an immediate stop to this, but it's just not always that simple. But the chief is committed, the mayor is committed. We will continue to have conversations as appropriate at the committee level, and should those rise to council level, we will consider them at that time. Okay, so just a few comments. So again, there are 2 more periods of public comment, but especially the second one. If you have something to which you think we might want to or be able to respond to, please share that at the second period. Okay. So thank you for indulging me for a little bit.
Tim, could you talk a little bit about, Tim is the chair of public safety, and I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what we do in that committee and how that's different from what we do here.
Thank you. First and foremost, I am the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, and in my committee and I would suppose other committees, that is the opportunity for residents to, very much like this evening, state their opinion. I'm a little different in my committee in the sense that I allow and encourage back and forth conversation. Those who have attended my committee meetings in the past, sometimes they run rather long. And the reason is because I think that is the area and the opportunity for a lot of the concerns to be voiced and for the beginning of those action steps to take place. And I think that is the most important part of what I do. I love doing this here, but in those committee meetings, that's where the work is done. And so I encourage those that are still here, those who have left, to attend future committee meetings, including mine, so that we can have real discourse and come to real next steps and action items to stop whatever's occurring within the borough.
Next, no other comments regarding this topic at hand? Okay. Moving on then to Tom for Public Works on behalf of Louisa.
Right. Is this working? Okay. In lieu of Louisa, I have this report. The committee, Public Works Committee, met June 3rd, 2025. It was noted that the borough's solicitor is looking at procedures to be taken to claim the currently unclaimed approximately 1/4 acre of property that lies at the upper end of the Connequa Creek bank at the eastern end of our borough. I mentioned this before. It's about 1/4 acre of land that nobody owns. It's not been staked out, and we're going to take steps to try to get hold of that as long as there aren't objections. And it's technically in East Pennsboro, but that would not matter. Right. I'll suck that in. I think we mowed some of it, and some of it is in the forested area. Mike mentioned about the bid for the curb construction. It's happily low, a bid of $68,000 and some cents. We discussed the flood mitigation project for Braemar Culvert, something we take very seriously. As we noted in the past, we had sought, and I think were awarded funds from FEMA, but the agency that awarded that no longer exists, so that money is gone. Mike has looked at what would it cost if we just went in on our own and did the project. He estimated it would cost around $79,000. We're looking at sources for that money, but in any event, we want that to be a project in 2026, again, because of its importance, people being flooded, et cetera. We've received reasonable bids on municipal items, which we are recommending for approval this evening. These items include 2 Ferris zero-turn mowers, snow plow parts, and a generator filter. A case wheel loader is now also available to be put out to municipal bid, and the committee is recommending council approve the advertisement of this item tonight. Next, it was noted that Lee Stinnett is working on a resolution to present to the Planning and Zoning Committee concerning the use of highly polluting polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, that's a mouthful, which are being used in the borough. Planning and Zoning will look at this proposal at the next meeting. Lester noted that the Country Club sewer lining project has been completed and the manhole rehabilitation is underway, if not completed, at this point. Lester also noted that 2 large dumpsters have now been installed in the compost disposal area. The cost of grinding continues to be a problem, but Lester did find a local vendor who will charge, I guess, only $100 a load, give or take. The Creek Road Pump Station project is on hold, awaiting PPL review and more detailed construction plans. And as I understand it, a grant has been obtained to finish construction in 2026. Sarah discussed a recent problem with a downed tree on a small piece of land owned by the borough along the western portion of the Connequa Creek. No damage was done to an adjoining property, but it did cause concern about the maintenance of this little piece of land, and Lester is moving ahead with looking at how to better maintain that area. Tim also mentioned the study on Country Club Road. The only thing I would add to that is there was also some discussion about maybe putting a stop sign in at the intersection of Russell and Country Club. It's another action that would slow down traffic. I live in Country Club. I come out that way, and it's hard as heck to see the traffic coming at you. So I think that's a good idea, but we'll be looking at that, and further study will be made on that possibility. Sarah noted that sidewalk replacement and repair has concluded for this season, and that further sidewalk repair and replacement will be pursued in the fall. And finally, we had a brief discussion about traffic flow issues that continue along Cumberland Boulevard and merging traffic from Market and Chestnut Street, and in particular, Harvard Avenue. This is a complicated issue that involves excessive traffic during rush hour, programming of the lights, pedestrian crossings, and so on. Lester noted that he receives almost daily complaints about this, and a day or two ago, I got a complaint about the intersection at Market and Cumberland. The solution to this problem is a little elusive, but it's being worked on, and the committee will continue to discuss this and look at solutions. Any questions from council on any of this?
Yeah, who owns those intersections and the lights? Is that PennDOT? We own the lights, and then PennDOT?
Yeah, I think we own the lights, and
PennDOT owns the roads?
yeah, they own the roads, we own the lights. Do we do the programming, the software?
PennDOT regulates the programming by permit.
Okay,
It's our responsibility to make sure the lights are functioning per the permit PennDOT gives us. Say that 5 times fast.
But it's complicated, and we're very aware of the problem, and we're working on it, even if you don't hear anything. It's on the agenda. The next meeting of the Public Works Committee will occur on Tuesday, July 1 at 8 a.m. And as Tim emphasized, that's where a lot of work gets done, and we encourage residents to come to these meetings and express your concerns. The meeting of council once a month is a semi-formal arrangement that follows procedures because that's the way you get business done. We listen to complaints and we deal with them elsewhere. And again, I want to emphasize that if people don't hear anything going on, it's because it doesn't always occur here. It occurs at these committee meetings. And again, I encourage people to show up at these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Moving on to Emily with Community and Business Relations. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We did not meet in May, so Community and Business Relations meets on Tuesday, June 17th at 4 p.m. Any questions?
Moving on to Parks and Recreation. Emily.
Hi. So Parks and Recreation, very exciting right now. First of all, I would like to say that the Kite Festival was held May 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. We had over 600 people in attendance and made 225 kites. The refreshments went well, and so did the bubble machine we had there. Thank you to all the volunteers who helped before, during, and after the event. The Memorial Day Parade was on May 26th. We had a great turnout and lovely weather. We appreciate the donations from Powerhouse Communications, Advantage Wealth Management, Teamsters Local 776, LB Smith, Penn Waste, and Blooms by Vickery. And now for our upcoming event. This summer is the 25th summer of the Box Lunch Review at Willow Park. Yeah. This award-winning event is back again and will be at Willow Park starting this Friday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. If it rains, it will be held the following Friday. We'd like to invite you all to come to the park on opening day and enjoy the great music. You may purchase your lunch in the park, or you're welcome to bring your own lunch. You may want to bring a chair or a blanket along as well to sit on. This Friday, the musician is Ryan and Tabin McCormick. They're guitarists, and it's sponsored by HRG. Thanks, Mike. And I'll be there this Friday as well, helping Audrey out, so all very exciting. Also, community swim lessons are starting next week. There still are a few spots open. The pool is now open full-time. There are still camps that you can sign up for besides Seabrook Park Day Camp. There is, what else do I have? The pool is now open, yes, and if you don't have a pass for the pool, you can buy one on our website. I think that concludes my report. Oh, I have 2 action items. I have to flip the page over. Yes, we have 2 different requests. One is from the Camp Hill Democrats to plant a tree at Seabrook Park in memory of Juliet Marangiello. And then the second request is from the CO family to install a bench in Seabrook Park in memory of Marco CO. So those will both be action items. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, I'm back. You will note in your packet that Colton has provided a monthly report on code enforcement. He responded to 182 calls and complaints, made 533 calls, sent 309 emails, did 1 residential unit inspection, and issued 61 building, zoning, dumpster, stormwater, and shade tree permits. A busy month. The Planning and Zoning Committee met May 16th. We conducted a final review of 3 proposed stop sign ordinances at Deanhurst and Dickinson and 2 T intersections at Athol and Dighton, all 3 of which we are recommending for approval by council tonight. We continued working on the process of updating our borough codes, consulting with our solicitor who did attend the meeting, looking at ordinances that we will recommend eliminating and clarifying, ordinances that will need more work. The current phase of the project is essentially complete, and as time unfolds, we will look at the current bicycle, animal, library, and parking ordinances for necessary updating. We briefly looked at the special events ordinance, for which appropriate fees need to be determined. We all agree that the fee for simple block parties should be minimal, while larger events that require more borough support would need to be higher, but of course reasonable. Fees would not be about making money, but just covering costs that the borough would have. We noted they are waiting on a few items necessary for finalization of the quitclaim deed from the Teamsters, but we do support tonight a stormwater operations and management agreement, which will be presented to council tonight for approval. We discussed recent complaints that I and others have received about speeding electric bikes on trails, Seabrook Trail in particular, and unsafe use of electric scooters in the borough. Just drive around, you see these scooters scooting all over the place, motorized, et cetera, and quite problematic because by state law they shouldn't be allowed on highways and so on, but it's a current problem. It's a complex issue about the e-bikes, which we've been studying. There are 3 classes of e-bikes. And I've discussed this problem with Tim in public safety and with the chief. What has been uncovered is that the state has some elaborate rules about these bicycles, e-bikes, and it may not be necessary to have another ordinance. We may just need this, which we're doing. We're going to study what the state has proposed and discuss this a bit more in committee. Anyway, that's another can of worms that we're addressing. The committee discussed a recently expressed concern by the Public Works Committee about the use of coal-based sealants that are high in the PAHs, highly toxic, and Lester is researching ordinances developed in other municipalities on this matter for the committee's future review. Colton continues to stay on top of spring-related property maintenance matters, as well as the rental inspection process. And I'll make a note that we had a very recent compliment about Colton in his style of proceeding and dealing with ordinance violations. And we also had a positive comment about the new rental inspection ordinance. And that's my report. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'll make note that the next meeting is June 20th at 8:15.
All right, Administration and Finance. We did not meet in May, but we're very excited to start back up June, where did I put it? Oh, June 23rd at 4:30. And we're super excited to have Natalie join us. So it's nice having a finance director again. Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Thank you. Briefly, before we move on to our liaison reports, I just had 2 or 3 more questions for the chief, if he would answer them, please. So those of you who returned, and again, we shared some, I had asked some questions of the chief earlier. I like having facts and data. I think it helps us whether or not you're pro or con. It helps you form your position. But to that point, I also wanted to share or get perspective on the number of thefts from vehicles compared to other types of incidences that are occurring in our community. Is it a fair assessment to say that they vastly outweigh other types of crime, or is it more minimal than that?
No, clearly that's the current trend of any kind of crime in Camp Hill. And we've been very fortunate for a number of years, and this year it has just climbed. It's already almost double what it was all of last year. So
Yes.
this is a unique spike, and again, it's not unique just to our community. It's this entire West Shore area is experiencing the same thing.
Okay. Okay. There's been a spike in thefts from vehicles. However, when you do look at the number of instances listed on the monthly reports, in my assessment, though, if you were to take the total number of incidences and divide them by the number of months, for example, looking back at 2024, we might be only looking at 1.9 or about 2 incidences of thefts from vehicles every month on average. And of the months so far in this calendar year, we're looking at about maybe 2.9 incidences of thefts from vehicles on average. Okay. Again, no crime is good, right? We absolutely don't want it. But sometimes when you look at it in the broader perspective or context, the information might indicate something that might not be conveyed on social media. So, okay. Any other comments? Okay. Moving on to our liaison reports. Tim, I'll pass it down, but I don't believe we have a meeting until September. Do you want to share anything else? No. Okay. We're going to go to Estelle. Okay.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay. So on May 15th, 43 seniors were recognized for having a cumulative weighted GPA and of 4 or 93% and above throughout high school. In total, 58 seniors were recognized for achievements in academics, school and community service, music, art, theater, citizenship, leadership, future plans, character, and courses of study. High school graduation was on May 31st. 5th grade graduation was on June 2nd, and then the last official day of school was June 3rd, although a lot of high schoolers finished by the 29th or the 30th, depending on their finals. The field hockey shoe fundraiser for a team clinic is taking place from 9 to 11 at Siebert on Saturday, the 14th. The baseball team won districts, but they lost in the first round of states, and then girls softball lost in the first round of districts. Also, the high school students, especially Key Club, are helping out at the Lion Foundation Cornhole event on Saturday and National Night Out later in the summer. That's all.
Sarah with the Stormwater Authority report.
Yes, I'm reporting on behalf of Louisa, who attended via phone. The Stormwater Authority met yesterday, and they reviewed the current stormwater account balances and continued financial planning for future capital projects. The board was updated on a storm pipe and inlet replacement project planned at Chestnut and Green Streets, west of 34th Street. The borough has purchased the materials for the project and will now move forward with the installation using our maintenance subcontractor. The authority discussed moving forward with an engineering study to evaluate improvements to the infrastructure for Harvard Run that could alleviate flooding in the area near Braemar Road. The borough has applied for a federal grant, for the study, but the FEMA program offering the grants was eliminated shortly after our application. The group discussed flooding at a property on North 25th Street that occurred from a storm the night before. The authority is prioritizing some very costly capital projects that involve pipe repairs, increased capacity, and volume control, and they are evaluating how they would be funded. They also discussed properties where easements will be needed from property owners to perform improvements and maintenance.
Was there discussion about the Braemar culvert? Yes. Lots of things. Okay, Downtown Camp Hill Association.
Thanks. Okay, Downtown Camp Hill Association recently had the Plein Air Festival, which by all accounts was a huge success. Good job, Beth, and everyone else who participated. Businesses were happy and the turnout for the day was great. The school district was thrilled with the engagement and the scholarships for both the arts and the Canadensis program. The inaugural Goddard Trail Walk was a success and will be repeated next year. The student art was displayed at Cornerstone Coffee House and throughout Willow Park. Weekly event that we have right now is the Farmers Market on Tuesdays at Trinity Lutheran Church. If you haven't gone yet, it is every Tuesday at Trinity Lutheran Church. Yeah, I think three? Yeah. Starting at 3 o'clock. And we currently have 15 full-season vendors, 5 half-season vendors, and 2 occasional vendors. What's very exciting to me is now there's going to be an addition of a weekly food truck and monthly expanded offerings such as live music and face painting. The Market Kids section has been a huge hit with patrons offering activities for little children while parents are there to shop. Booth spaces are always available for nonprofit organizations and downtown businesses. And we're currently working on additional sponsorship and have secured 3 with an application submitted for a 4th. Lastly, the Downtown Camp Hill Association recently met with State Representative Nate Davidson. He's great. He's been super helpful and super engaged in the Downtown Camp Hill, in wanting to work with the Downtown Camp Hill Association, and they are currently working with him to look for funding for an updated Urban Land Institute study. So stay tuned for more info on that. That's my report.
Just keep it for a while, right? Okay, first is Frederickson Library. They held their first summer concert on the lawn, and it was well attended. The annual summer reading program, Color Our World, began on June 1st and runs until August 15th. The library has also partnered with Go Cumberland Challenge, so read books, visit trails, and track your progress, and you can win prizes. Blueberries are still being sold until July 9th with pickup on the 15th, so get them while you can. It is a delicious way to support the library. The next concert in the Summer Concert on the Lawn series is Monday, June 23rd, at 7 p.m. with the West Shore Symphony Orchestra. And CAPCOG did not meet this month. Who knows when they'll meeting? I think the next meeting is in July, but who really knows? And Birdtown had a table at DCHA's Plein Air, which was really fabulous. We had a great time introducing ourselves to the community. A sandwich board was placed at Willow Park along Market Street as a reminder that we have at least one mama duck that will have her ducklings following her for up to 2 months until they are independent. They cross to get to the water in Willow Park, so just kind of be mindful when you're driving or e-biking, right? And yes, so Camp Hill, Birdtown will also be at Stormfest on July 23rd with some rain barrels, right? Which should be a lot of fun, and we hope to see everyone there. The next Camp Hill Birdtown meeting is July 8th at 3 p.m. That's everything.
Just for the record, sustainability did not meet from the time of the last, well, I'm on there, but we're going to meet tomorrow, but there's nothing to report.
Skipped right over.
Okay, thank you everyone for your reports. That brings us to our second period of public comment. Again, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and please be mindful of the 3-minute limit.
Matt Kennedy at 2923 Maple. Chief and Mr. Mayor, do you have any sense for when that community meeting will occur that we were talking about? Right. Any idea? Like, oh, okay. How will that be communicated?
We'll discuss. Yeah, we'll discuss. Because I don't know if you're talking about town hall perspective or you're talking about a smaller meeting. So there will be a meeting, and we will try and convey the message on as many platforms as appropriate or otherwise.
Fair enough. But that won't necessarily be what you were referring to. Right. Okay. And just to be clear, Chief, you were talking about the spike that you've seen this year. Right. But you were saying that year over year, it's essentially the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
is
that right?
I mean, it has gone, according to the numbers that I saw. I mean, last year we had a total number of 23. This year, over the 5 months, we've seen 34. So year over year, there's been a spike.
So far this year, there's been a
Right, in the year, but we're only 5 months, or, yeah, right, okay. Got it, just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else wishing to offer public comment?
I know I'm not allowed to ask questions, and I haven't seen the committee meetings in the...
Please state your name.
Beth Nunemaker, 235 North 19th Street.
Okay.
I haven't seen the committee meeting dates and times in the Camp Hill newsletter, and so I'm wondering where to look.
They are available on our website. I thought they were in the newsletter as well. But they are definitely on our website under Borough Governor calendar as well.
Okay. Like tomorrow's meeting, is that noon or 1?
Which, are you referring to the Sustainability Committee specifically? 1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Whitmer.
I'm Joe Whitmer. I reside at 835 Wynwood Road. I very much appreciated the information on the stop signs on North 19th Street. The last time I was here 20 years ago in the zoning discussion, there was a request made by residents of South 19th to consider a stop sign somewhere at either Princeton, Dickinson, or Columbia because of the traffic racing down from Dickinson and Columbia down toward the bridge or off the bridge up toward to the next stop sign. I lived there then, and I would just put in a request to consider it. At the time, the comment was made by then council, well, just what we need, another stop sign. So it was not very well supported, but I would like to put in a request for that because I do have friends that still live there, and the traffic there, especially on the weekends, is really, they just race, that's all.
Miss, ni- oh. It's okay. 19th and Columbia. Yeah, just to be, I mean, I will make one comment that, I dislike speeding on my street just as much as anywhere else, but in response to my concerns too, I've been informed that, stop signs are not really intended as a traffic calming measure in most cases, so there are some factors that we need to consider, but yeah, but we'll discuss it in public safety and see if it's not that, if there's anything else that can be addressed. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Thank you very much. That brings us to our council consideration of action items this evening. Beginning with the school resource officer agreement, is there a motion and a second to approve the renewal of the 3-year agreement with the school district for the provision of a school resource officer for 2025 through 2028? Tim moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to issue the notice of intent to award for the 2025 curb ramp construction project base bid and all bid alternates to Builder Men in the amount of $68,156.70? Tom moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve the sale of the following items on municipal? The 2017 Ferris Zero Turn Mower for $4,600, the 2018 Ferris Zero Turn Mower for $5,300, the Myers Snowplow parts for $362, and the Kohler generator filters for $5. Tom moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve the advertisement of a case wheel loader on municipal? Tom moves. Is there a second? Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to approve the request of the Camp Hill Democrats to plant a tree at Siebert Park in memory of Juliet Morangello? We all move. But for the sake of minutes, I will say it's Mercedes and Michelle. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to approve the request of the CO family to install a bench in Siebert Park in memory of Marco CO? So moved. Emily seconds, Mercedes. Emily moved, Mercedes second. I also just knew Marco from the Lion Foundation also, so he and I served together in the Lion Foundation for a few years, or in committee too. So, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to approve a stormwater operations and maintenance agreement with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local Union number 776 for the land development project at 510 South 31st Street? Tom moves, Mercedes seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Lastly, is there a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 2025-04 to install stop signs at First, Dickinson Avenue and Deanhurst Avenue. Second, Athol Street and North 19th Street. And third, Dighton Street and North 19th Street. Tom moves, Emily seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Which brings us to our final and third period of public comment. Ms. Bowman is jumping out the gun.
All right, well, terrific. Nice to see everyone. Sherry Bowman, 498 North 25th Street. Just a couple comments. First off, the borough is being very well managed. So thank you. It looks wonderful. When I'm out driving around, I'm like, oh, wow, this place is like $1 million. Just a couple thoughts. I'm wondering if we could put some kind of marketing campaign around locking your doors and just kind of raise more awareness. Like we have the newsletter coming up, so maybe there's opportunities in there, but if we could do something creative, like some gimmick, I don't know, lock it or lose it, I don't know. That might be wonderful. And I also wonder because I feel like a lot of folks, we don't get a lot of folks usually in these meetings, so they don't really understand when they come to the meeting what the expectation is, and I feel like then they kind of leave with the wrong impression that you guys don't want to hear, you know, that we don't want to hear, the borough doesn't want to hear their concerns. And I don't think that's true. I know that's not true. So I'm wondering if there's a way at the beginning of the meetings just to describe a little bit about the meeting, like what it is and what it isn't, and just say where the opportunity is to raise issues, or certainly here you can public comment, but no one is going to be really responding to you at that point in time. So just a thought. I don't know if there's anything we can do there, but anyway, just keep up the great work, and I'm sure we'll resolve these car issues, you know. Part of me wants to hide behind a bush at night, but I'm too tired in the middle of the night to get up and do that. And then I'm like, what would I do anyway if I caught them? Anyway, thank you.
Hello, I'm Makoa Niebel, 2923 Maple Road. I know you might not be able to answer these questions. I can email them. I was just curious if Camp Hill Borough would ever consider becoming a sanctuary borough for illegal aliens. And I was also wondering if the Camp Hill police would honor an ICE detainer on an illegal immigrant.
That is an issue that we briefly addressed at our last committee meeting. There will potentially be additional discussion. Council meeting, I'm sorry, yes. We briefly discussed it at our last council meeting. Legal counsel is providing information with us, so pending receipt of that information, there may be additional conversations, but there is no particular position at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Okay. I do, again, just want to note for Ms. Bowman and for others, there is public comment guidance on the back of the agenda also that does kind of set expectations also. I know it's not always read, but that was one change to the agenda that we made at this beginning of my term as president for that reason, right? And also kudos to the police department and to Beth for providing information on their website and social media platforms, reminding residents to lock their cars. If there are other opportunities to, including the newsletter, if we haven't already, we will certainly consider that. Okay. So are there any other closing remarks by council members?
I just want to make a comment about our borough manager, who I think is superior. And the fact that she doesn't live here, if she didn't seem to have a commitment, she didn't have a commitment to this borough, we would notice that, council would notice that. So I just want to give a strong voice of support for our borough manager, who I want to thank for what she does. Thank you.
I just, like the other council members have stated, and I agree with you, Sherry, that sometimes if people aren't used to how we kind of do things, I get it, right? But our work is done at the committee level for the most part. We welcome people to come in and make comments there, to email us, to read past minutes and see what we've been up to. You can join the email list and I believe the packet is emailed to you Mondays before our meeting. What was I going to say about, oh, it's also online, the packet. All of our minutes for the past several years are online. You can see what we're up to there. We do this because we care about our town, right? We live here, and because you guys all live here, and we really want this to be the best place. And it helps getting input from everyone, and we welcome that. So please email us, keep in touch. However we can all work together, it would be a great thing. So thank you for coming, and thanks for telling us what's on your mind.
I would also like to say, Sarah, you're doing a great job. I don't listen to those naysayers. Yeah, one naysayer who, you know, whatever. Anyways, yes, I agree with that. And yes, come to our committee meetings. They're much more low-key, laid-back, and where we actually spend serious amounts of time discussing the issues. I think it's really important to note that. Secondarily, I wish we had this many people at council meetings every month, because we go to lots of meetings besides this one, and it would be awesome to see people at all of our council meetings and really be engaged in the community. I just wish that they would stay for the whole meeting where we actually talk about all of the things we're doing, because it really, you know, you don't get the whole message if you just stay for public comment. So that's my message. Please come to our council meetings, committee meetings, and stay.
Thank you. Sherry, thanks for your comment. That was on my mind. I think what might be easier, Beth, if maybe you could put a fun graphic together of how like our structure works that we can kind of circulate around. A lot of us ran on transparency, and if you look at our committee minutes, they're incredibly thorough. Like, you know what we talked about, and our solicitor has made that comment. I've looked at minutes from other municipalities when I'm thinking about an issue like Airbnb or something, and they're like one-liners. So you can really get a sense of what we're talking about in the committees just by reading the minutes. But we do really like to have people there, and we discuss almost everything that people email us about. I personally am not on Facebook actively, and it's tough to be able to catch everything that's on there. So we appreciate when people come or they call, because we do talk about those things on committee. It might be a little slow sometimes, but we do get to everything.
I have a boring announcement. We do have a shred day that's coming up on June the 24th at the Market on Market. In conjunction with that, it's in the lower parking lot behind Trinity Lutheran off of Chestnut Street. You just show up, and it's from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock on that Tuesday. So bring your boxes to shred.
Again, thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening. Thank you to each of you who are serving alongside me. Thank you to our borough manager. Thank you to our staff who are with us this evening. And last but not least, I do just want to again thank our first responders that we recognized at the outset of this meeting, and I don't want that to be forgotten. So thank you. That being said, the meeting stands adjourned.